Hi folks! Well, if you've been following along for the past few weeks, you might have picked up on a theme of sorts recently, and by that, I mean we've been spending the past few videos highlighting our 2020 Cordie Awards and all the streaming services, device makers, and more that you and your fellow cord cutters and streamers selected as the best of the best. And this week we're going to bundle a few more winners together, so if you've been wondering about the best streaming options in a variety of categories, you've come to the right place. This is a little thing we like to call the top streaming services according to you. But first, let's establish some ground rules. And if you haven't checked out our recent videos covering our Cordie Awards, I'd recommend addressing that issue with the links down below. But to recap, here's how we came to all these results. So, in late 2020, we sent out our annual call to our readers, subscribers, and followers to vote on your favorites in a variety of categories. Now, we've already done videos to count down your favorite free streaming services and your favorite new streaming hardware. And stay tuned, because in March we'll go over more of your favorite hardware, including your picks for the top DVRs and top over-the-air antenna brands. But for this week, we're going to run through some of the streaming service categories, including Best New Streaming Service and Best Subscription Streaming Service. The Best Free Streaming Service. Now, we've already done a full video on this category, but we wanted to recap your favorite free streaming services real quick. If you want to dive deeper into these specific services, make sure you check out our earlier video in the link down below, as well as up in the corner. But real quick, your choice for the best free streaming service was Pluto TV. The Viacom-CBS-owned free streaming service has proven to be a popular free option, with regular updates to its content and channel lineup. So if you're looking for ways to expand your streaming service arsenal without signing up for more subscriptions, it might be worth checking out Pluto TV or any of the other options that made your list of the top free streaming services. The Best New Streaming Service. So like in our recent video on your top picks for best new streaming hardware, the definition of new here isn't a hard and fast date. Instead, we're generally thinking of streaming services that debuted within 2020, and of those we had a number of notable releases. Some made a huge impact, and some didn't quite make it through the year. But in the end, your runner-up and second place finisher for Best New Streaming Service was Peacock. The new streaming service has been adding original content and featuring a long list of NBC classics, and it'll be interesting to see how the service fares now that The Office has joined its lineup. But as far as first impressions go, Peacock did well enough to earn a runner-up spot for Best New Streaming Service. And in case you haven't guessed by now, your top choice for best new streaming service was indeed HBO Max. Now, naturally, any new streaming service is going to run into some growing pains, and for HBO Max, some of the most notable were the initial lack of support for Fire TV and Roku devices. But thankfully, just before year's end, the streaming service finally appeared on those popular platforms. And then it closed out the year with the landmark announcement that Warner Brothers would premiere new films on the streaming service on the same day as their theatrical premiere. In other words, it was a big first year for HBO Max, which no doubt helped it earn a first place finish and your choice as the best new streaming service. The best original content. And if we've learned anything about streaming and cord cutting in recent years, it's that you apparently can't have too many streaming services, and you also can't have enough original content. And as the industry gets more and more competitive, various services have been investing in in-house original content to attract consumers. And when it comes to your go-to for original content, we have a handful of options vying for second place, including Hulu and Apple TV+, each with around 8% or so of the vote. But surpassing both of them and securing a solid, if distant, runner-up spot is HBO Max. And that sort of makes sense when you think about it. While the streaming service itself is new, HBO is by no means a stranger to creating popular and award-winning original content. But it was still no match for the overwhelming favorite with 55.1% of the total vote. Netflix was your choice for best original content. And of course, Netflix has been focusing on original content for quite some time now, after seeing some of its biggest binge-watching hits like The Office and Friends leave for other streaming services. It's a lot easier to hold on to content when you're the one producing it, and that strategy seems to be paying off for Netflix. After all, the company has been dominating Nielsen's streaming viewership charts of late. But 2021 should be even more competitive. For one, we've got more streaming services to consider and even more original content to binge on. For example, Disney Plus's original options might be lackluster from a quantity standpoint, but it's produced some impressive hits in The Mandalorian and WandaVision so far. In other words, this looks to be a very active and competitive field this year, but for now, your top choice for original content is Netflix. The best live TV streaming service. Ah, yes, live TV streaming services had themselves a rather busy year last year, and one of the trends we saw pop up over the course of the last few months has been price hikes, with a number of live TV streaming services adjusting their lineups but also increasing their monthly rates during 2020 and into 2021 as well. But live TV streaming still remains a popular and competitive field, and your runner up for top live TV streaming service was Sling TV. One of the oldest competitors in this space, Sling TV continues to earn votes for its selection and price. In fact, while others in 2020 were raising prices, Sling offered up a 1-year price guarantee for those who signed up for the service by a certain date. And yes, it's worth pointing out that a month or so after these votes were cast, Sling TV announced its own price hike, but for now at least, Sling TV is your runner-up for Best Live TV Streaming Service. Meanwhile, in first place, it's YouTube TV, which came away with a little over 1/3 of the total vote. And yes, YouTube TV was among several live TV streaming services that announced price hikes last year, but voters still turned out in support. And we're guessing that has something to do with its overall lineup and features, including an unlimited cloud DVR. And of course, we'll continue keeping an eye on lineup changes and pricing shifts, but it's clear this is a very active and volatile segment in the streaming industry. For now, though, YouTube TV is your top pick for the best live TV streaming service. The best subscription streaming service. And then there's Best Subscription Streaming Services. Now, we don't have an exact equivalent to Best Picture at the Oscars, but this category seems pretty high up there. And as we've mentioned a few times already, 2020 ended up being a pretty competitive year, with young streaming services maturing and brand new options hitting the ground running. But in the end, two stalwarts secured the runner-up and overall spots. In second place, we have Amazon's Prime Video. The streaming service ended up earning around 17% of the overall vote following a busy year. Amazon continues to produce popular and award-winning original content, and it's also leveraging Prime Video for some live events like Thursday Night Football. And it also racked up a second-place finish among your favorite subscription services. Which leaves us with the number one spot, and with 35.8% of the vote, your top pick for best subscription service was Netflix. And if there was ever a streaming service that needed no introduction, it would be this one. But Netflix likely scored high marks thanks to its combination of quantity as well as popular original content. Throughout the past year, we've seen one Netflix movie or show after another generate extremely active followings in pop culture. And all that added up to your choice as the best subscription streaming service. Wrapping it all up. So there you go, those were your top streaming picks in several categories. And don't worry, we're going to be picking your brains and asking for your input throughout 2021 as well. After all, we've already got some new streaming options to consider, including the recently launched Discovery Plus and the pending relaunch of CBS All Access as Paramount Plus. To put it another way, the streaming landscape is still evolving and changing at a rapid pace, so it'll be interesting to see who earns the top spots for these categories in the future. For now, though, as always, if you feel like your favorite streaming service might have been overlooked by your fellow cord cutters and streamers, I'd advise you to make your thoughts known in the comment section down below. And naturally, if you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below as well. You'd be joining a passionate and active group, and you'd be supporting a pretty good channel too, if you ask me. Until next time, though, thank you all for tuning in. My name is Philip Palermo. We'll see you next time. Take care.